Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, the mainstream media is finally admitting something that I've been stating on my channel for the past couple of months. And when they finally admitted this, well, it sent chills down my spine because either A, it's already too late to prepare, or they know a little more that we, the American public, don't know. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about massive food shortages, not just internationally, but even right here in the United States of America. And in fact, our grocery stores are preparing for such. But before I get into the report, I want to remind you, please make sure you have food storage for your family. And you can do that by going to preparewithlisa.com. Right now, they've got $100 off the 4-week food kit, and it's always better to be prepared. So check it out at preparewithlisa.com. All right, so what exactly is happening to the global food supply? Well, earlier this year, I revealed a report by the United Nations showing that hundreds of millions of people were at risk of starvation, not because of COVID-19 directly, but because of the COVID-19 lockdown measures and mandates. Take a look at this article here on rtnews.com. Famine of biblical proportions looms over humanity due to COVID-19. UN food chief warns. ABCnews.com, COVID could push 265 million people to starvation if action isn't taken, says the UN. The UN is warning that 265 million people could be pushed to the point of starvation by the end of 2020, with the first increase in global poverty since 1990, unless urgent action is taken. Also, WFP.org, World Food Program chief warns of hunger pandemic as global food crisis report is launched. David Beasley tells UN Security Council hundreds of thousands may die without swift intervention and urges funding. Just as the report states, hundreds of millions of people's lives are now at risk of starvation due to the COVID-19 protocols. But here's the question that I have. We were told to lock down our states and lock down our travel and lock down our countries in order to save lives from the COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that it could hit people here in the US. However, we fail to recognize and bring up the fact that hundreds of millions of lives are now at risk as a direct result of these lockdowns. Answer me this. Why is it okay to save a few thousand lives over hundreds of millions of people? These are the questions that we have to start asking those in leadership. You see, because when we shut down our travel and we shut down our country, we also shut down the desperate aid needed to some of these international countries. And as a result, many are starving. Take a look at this article here on MSNnews.com. 10 million children facing famine in Yemen with suffering only likely to get worse. Bloomberg.com, no meat, no milk, no bread. Hunger crisis rocks Latin America. TheHill.com, another famine coming. China struggling to meet basic food demands. So China, Yemen, and Latin America are all suffering a massive food crisis. And mind you, they're not the only ones suffering right now. I've just given you a small piece of the puzzle. But it's not just abroad that things are happening. Right here in the United States of America, the mainstream media is finally starting to admit that, well, grocery stores are actually preparing here in the US. Take a look at this article here on CNN.com. Worried about more shortages, grocery stores are stockpiling goods. WallStreetJournal.com, grocery stores stockpile. They build pandemic pallets ahead of the winter. But it's not just grocery stores that the mainstream media is talking about. How about the fact that many of our farmers are suffering bankruptcy? Take a look at this article here on Forbes.com. U.S. farm bankruptcies reach 8-year high. WallStreetJournal.com, more farmers declare bankruptcy despite levels of federal aid. NBCNews.com, small farmers left behind in Trump's COVID-19 relief package. The uneven distribution of funds is stark. The top 10% got over 60% of the pot, while the bottom 10% just got 0.26%. Of course, they blame President Trump for that, never mind the fact that the Democrats have a big say in it as well. But I digress. Farmers are suffering here in the US, and our grocery stores are preparing for another quote-unquote wave or food shortage here in the US. So it's not just hitting countries abroad, it's right here in the United States of America. But I'm led back to my first question. Why then did we lock down our economies and screw up our food supply? The only answer to that is or maybe are they wanting to kill more people? Are they wanting to depopulate the planet? Is there a depopulation agenda? Because if not, why did they implement these measures and take hundreds of millions of more lives and mess with this food supply here in the US? Here's just a couple of quotes I want to show you. The first one here is from Bill Gates on TED Talks. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really good job on vaccines, on healthcare, and reproductive healthcare services, we could lower that number by perhaps 10 to 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3, says Bill Gates. If I were reincarnated, I would wish to be returned to Earth as a killer virus to lower human population levels, says Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Depopulation should be the highest priority of U.S. foreign policy towards the third world, says Henry Kissinger. Society has no business to permit degenerates to reproduce their kind, says Theodore Roosevelt. A total population of 250 to 300 million people, a 95% decline from present levels, would be ideal, said Ted Turner in an interview with Audubon magazine. Is there a depopulation agenda now underway by the globalist elite? Well, a lot of their quotes say that that's exactly what they want. Anyhow, don't forget to check out my channel at restrictedrepublic.com. Right now, we have a 14-day free trial and encourage you. There's so much more information, brand new information. There are no commercials on Restricted Republic. And right now, there is a 14-day free trial just to try it out. And we don't make you sign any year-long contract, so you can quit whenever you like. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.